Hi guys, this is Robin from RsIslandCrafts. Today we're going to do a little curtain tutorial. I live down here in sunny, bright, hot Florida like I tell you all the time. And in the summertime it gets really hot in the house if you don't use light blocking, heat blocking curtains. I have a few windows that no longer have blinds on them, so they need to have these curtains put up before we get super hot, because in the summer, about July, it gets sweltering in here. So I thought I'd show you what I'm going to do with my curtains. On Amazon, they had these curtains, the Sun Zero. They are 54 by 84. Now most of my windows, the length is a lot shorter than that. So the 84 length is for like sliding glass doors. And I already have them on my sliding glass doors. I need them on my regular windows. And a lot of my regular windows are 40 to 50 something in length. But with these, the 84 length was $7 and change on Amazon. If I were to buy them for the exact size for my window, they were almost $19. So I figured it's just a heck of a lot easier and cheaper to just go ahead and buy the long ones, shorten them, and for every panel that I've spent $7 and change for, I can actually get 2 panels. So each window is wide enough, because most of them are 36 to 51 inches wide. Each window will need 2 panels. So one long panel in this package will allow me to cover, when cut in half, one window. And I have to cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 windows. So I thought I'd take you along on my journey. You can save a little money by doing these things yourself. You're going to need your basic sewing supplies. What I did is, I have a regular tape measure, so I use a tape measure to measure my windows. You could use one of these fabric sewing ones. You can get those at the Dollar Tree. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. Or if you have absolutely no tape measures in the house and you want to do this project right now, just use a piece of yarn or take a piece of paper and just measure your window, and you'll know your window is 6.5 papers long by 8 papers wide, or however it works out. Then the sewing supplies that I'm going to be using, I have a rotary cutter and scissors. If you're just a regular sewer, you might not have the rotary cutter. So if you want to just take scissors and just cut along the bottom, the middle of the curtains and chop them off, it'll be perfectly fine. I have marking pencil and a marking marker. This one is a washable blue, and this one is just like a white, almost a crayon-y chalky material if you want to mark it. I also have a seam ripper in case we have any seams that we need to rip. Trusty old scissors. I have pins for when we fold over the hem to hold it, and if I don't want to get stabbed a million times. I also have these clips. These clips are really good for clipping on seams and stuff. It just holds it and you pull it off as you sew, and that way you don't get stabbed. We have iron. So if we want to iron the hem, I have to double check to make sure these can be ironed, but I know they can go through the washer and dryer. I also have a drink. Today my drink of choice is Bad For Me orange Kool-Aid, because I just like orange Kool-Aid. And a little sustenance in case I get hungry. And I already ate one of the fig bars because, yes, I got hungry. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take these out of the package, clear up my mess, and when I come back, we'll discuss the curtains. Okay, the tag on my curtain says, I can iron this if I so choose. So we'll see what it looks like. They're 100% polyester, so we need to just be a little bit careful. And it says, cool iron is needed. So the hem will look pretty good, and we'll do a with the seam we put on and everything. It'll be all right without being ironed. These curtains, some curtains come with grommets and some don't. This is just your regular. You have let's see. So you have a wide pocket here and a skinny pocket here for you to put your curtain rod in. If you put your curtain rod into this large one, it makes the top one a little ruffle up for you. It'll give you that little fancy ruffle. Or you can just hang it from here. Alright, now we're going to do my window here. which is right there. My window in the craft room measures 51. I just did a basic 51 by 51. What I did is I measured it from the inside of this window to the inside here, because what I figured is I'm going to put 2 curtains up. Whatever this ends up being the width of these, that's what it's going to be anyways, so it'll be fine. Then I went and I measured all the way up to the top where this curtain rod is, which is above the tip of the window, and I measured it all the way down to the bottom of this windowsill, because of course you want it to go past there. That is my absolute bare minimum number I need. And for me, that was 51 inches. So I'm going to go ahead, 51 and 51 is, well, I'm not going to be able to get 2 out of this one, since these curtains are 84 and I would need 102. So since these are 54 wide, I can get away with just putting 1 up there and not have it where it opens in the center. So that's what I'm going to do for this one. So let's go ahead and measure this 51 inches down. 54 inches is going to put me just 2 inches past the bottom of that window ledge. So I'm going to go ahead with the 54 inches on this. Now remember, if you're going to be cutting it from the top portion, because you already have your pocket made for your curtain rod, we want to make sure, see this one, this is the bottom. You just have the one. So you could use this as your bottom or your top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this one from the top, because I'm going to put the curtain rod in here. That way I don't lose this extra, it's a 2-inch pocket. So that way it gives me an extra 2 inches. So I want to go 54 inches from the top. We're going to take this out, measure it on the kitchen floor, and I'll be right back. Alright, we are back. I have measured it. I marked on each side, so we have a nice even spot to go from. Let's see if we can see the mark. See how well this chalk pencil type thing marks? So I marked on one side. And I marked on the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my quilting ruler, connect the two, and cut straight across. Now what you can do is you can fold it in half so it takes up less space on your table. I have a very narrow table. It's only about 18 or so inches. I'll put it like this. Fold it one more time. You can do this all on the kitchen floor, and you won't have to worry about folding it and moving things around and getting things just right. But for you guys, this is what we're gonna do. Because with the quilting ruler, I can line it up on this white line, and since I have everything folded equally and I measured off on the side so it's all even, I can put a line straight across there and it'll be all even. Now, the one thing that we have to take into consideration, which I almost forgot. So it's a good thing that we're doing this together, and before you cut, you always think things through. Did I get everything right? I measured down 54 inches. That gave me an 3-inch below my sill, but it did not account for my seam allowance. When I go to hem it, I'm going to have to fold it under a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to lose that 1/2 inch, so it'll only be 53.5. And I think I want to go ahead and stick with the 54. So what I will do to save myself, double check which end is the top. This end is the top. I'm going to take my ruler and put it on this side, but I'm going to put it, the white line, on the 1/2 inch mark so that I can cut it. So I'm actually going to cut this at 54.5 inches in order to have a 1/2 inch seam so I can stay with my true 54-inch length. Any questions? Okay, let's go. Last chance. Think it through. While we can fix it, we can only fix so much. Ready? What you could do, if you're concerned at all, is put some pins on this mark right here just to hold this together. Let me show you. Take your pins, just pin them in. Keeps everything from shifting. Then you can take this to your window and hang it up and see where this line is going to be to make sure that as it's hanging from the window, it's right where you want it. We didn't spend a lot of money on these, but it's still money, and we want to get it right the first time. So I'm very confident on where it's at. I can leave these pinned in here, stop things from shifting. Put it on the halfway mark. Line up the bottom. All right, are we ready? Nice sharp rotary cutter. Holding down on the ruler so it doesn't shift. Look. Okay, we did it. There's no going back now. What's done is done. We now have a cut curtain. All right, we'll take the pins out. Okay, now, some curtains, I have curtains hanging in my dining room for my sliding glass doors. They have this black material. You had a choice. There was all kinds of colors: pink, fuchsia, gray, orange, green, yellow, whatever. They had this this black material, and on the back of it there's a white material that's more sun reflecting, and this one doesn't have it. So this one's just a single lining. So we're just going to fold these and match the hems and the side seams and everything like that. If we had the white ones with the lining, what we would do is we would fold in the lining on one section, the outer black part on the other, and hold it together. So in essence, we would have this piece folded over to that seam, and then you would have that second piece on top folded over, and we would end up with a sandwich together. But this is a non-lined curtain, so we don't have to do that. Okay, let's just say you're just gonna do this job. You can't handle doing the hem. It's too hard for you. You just want to get it done. What you can do is you can take your zigzag stitch and just do an overcast or a zigzag stitch all along this edge, and that would go ahead and stop this seam from fraying. They also have iron-on tape that if you iron it onto here and you fold it over, it will iron to itself and hold your hem. So you don't even have to do, this can become a no-sew project if you wanted. But for us, let's do all the hard work and let's make a hem. I have this fancy Dritz Easy hemming tool. It's metal so that you can fold your hem over and iron right on it. And it has all kinds of markings. You can have, if you flip it over, it helps you make a hem of whatever width and depth that you need. I don't put water in my iron, so when I want to go ahead and do a steam, I have a spritz bottle of water that I keep, because when you put water in your iron, it never fails. It's always going to leak. If you don't put water in, it never leaks. It tends to drip out of these holes back here, or they get all that white calcium buildup. But if we don't fill it with water, it can't leak. Alright, what I'm going to do is make sure I have the wrong side of the curtain facing up. The wrong side has got the seam in here. We want a total of a 1/2 inch seam. It's going to be a 1/4 inch folded over and a 1/4 inch. You can do a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch, but I find for me it's easier just to do a 1/2 inch and then fold it inside itself. So I fold it up, the 1/2 inch mark. Now, if you had more material to work with and you weren't trying to skimp and save a little to get 2 windows out of it, you can do a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. Like I said, these hems over here are 1 inch, and if you wanted to do that, then it would match. I have my iron, a little bit of a cool setting. Give it a little spritz. It's just, this is a slickery material, so I'm fighting it. Moisten it. See, there's our original mark. Fold it over the 1/2 inch. Here at sizzle. You can just slide this right along, and your iron will push it right over onto that 1/2 inch mark. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, depending on the material and how things are working. Drop it, pick it up, and all day you'll have good luck. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep going along here, and then when it's done, I'll be back. This material almost feels like the little black dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, you can see where I have the fold ironed. I'm going to bring the top to the halfway mark and then fold it over. Put a pin. Okay. Let me show you how it works with the clips. Right. Down a bit, fold it, flip it up. See how narrow of a hem we're gonna get? I'm doing that just because, like I said, we need to save on fabric to make sure we have enough to do all the windows. Let's put a pin in it. Okay. So again, we are just gonna keep on keeping on. I'll just go with pins. With a pin, I can put it in this way, come out that way, and I know it's held. So, for this project, you need to use the best tools that work for your project. For me and this project, pins and getting stabbed 1,000 times and bleeding is going to be what works. We are going to go through and do this again, and when I get to the end, I'll come back. Alright, now that one is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to run a stitch all along it, and this hem will be all set. All these little flyaways and stuff, we'll just trim those off after we're done sewing. No big deal. Okay, curtain number 1. Okay, I've got you guys zoomed in nicely. We are going to go ahead and stitch these curtains now. I've got black thread in the top of my machine, black thread in the bobbin because these are black curtains. I will be sewing them from the wrong side. This is the one where we did the inch and fold it under a 1/2 inch, so a 1/2 inch hem. And I can adjust my machine so my needle goes a little to the left. So what I want to do is I want to stitch just about 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch off of this. This is going to hold that seam, keep everything inside, and make a nice little hem. Grab my tail ends, comfortable, couple stitches. Back stitch to set it, so otherwise it will, with any type of tension and pulling on it or washing the curtain, it'll come undone, and we don't want that after all our hard work. Do a little tug on the string, the thread on the back, and go slow. Now at this point you can go as fast or as slow as you feel you need. If you're comfortable going faster, go faster. If you need to go slow to keep it in a straightish line, you're using black thread. If your thread matches your curtain, I have black thread on a black curtain, and it's going to be hanging at the bottom of the window. Nobody's going to see it. Once again, if they get that close, smack them upside the head and tell them, back away. Back away. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll sew through this, removing the pins before I reach them because it's very dangerous. You'll break the pin, it can shoot up and hit you in the face or in your eye, and you can also damage your machine. So if you're not worried about damaging your eye and going blind, at least save your machine so you don't have to buy a new one. I give this just a little bit of a tug, tension, just to keep it going straight. As we said already, it's a little bit, polyester dress pants, little black dress material. Keep it lined up along here, and off we go. Remember, inside here is where the raw edges are. So while doing this, we've tucked those in, and it's going to stop them. If they fray, they're going to be inside here, and we're not going to see the fray at all. If any threads stick out after we're done sewing, we'll just trim them up. Up in here. As you're sewing, as you're pulling out pins, if it comes undone a little, just grab it, tuck it in, hold it down, and it'll stay. Tuck, press, hold. If you are brave and if you wanted to sit there, you can do this without pins. Just fold it as you're sewing. Now, will my seam be perfectly straight? It'll be close. With all the stopping and going and readjusting to do the pins and stuff, let's see if we can see. See, for the most part, it's straight, but you can tell usually whenever, you know, you stop a little. But now remember, up here isn't as noticeable as back here. Now, this is the front. This is why we are sewing from the back, so that the front looks nice. And you're going to get that straight line on the front. So never fear. Underdog is here. Anybody remember Underdog from back in the 70s? Maybe 80s? I was a big fan of Underdog growing up. Underdog comics, the coloring books. I watched them on TV. I am working on my grandmother's little sewing table. There's a sewing machine in here, one of those old-fashioned Singer ones. And I don't have much space off to the side. If you had more space off to the side, you wouldn't constantly be mudging around with the fabric like I am. But because I'm using what I have and it makes me feel connected to my grandmother, even though I'm not using her machine that I learned on, I still sew with her. So I'm just going to keep this for now. Who cares about comfort, right? Just get it all done. Just keep tucking this under so it doesn't hang off the edge. When it hangs off the edge, it tends to pull on the fabric, which will give you those uneven stitches that you don't really care for. You don't want to drag on this section and drag on the needle. You want it to go through smooth. Almost, guys and gals, almost. I'm going to go ahead and take this out because it's just stabbing me. Feel confident enough to hold this section. Tuck it in to meet the ironed crease. Make sure it's even on the end. Remember, in the end, we're going to need the back stitch so that we don't have our stitches stretch out. Voila! We have just created a hem. I'm going to go ahead and sew the other one, and then I'll show you when I put it up in the window. There's a foot you can get for your sewing machine too. It's called a rolled hem foot, and you hook it onto here and it feeds the fabric and it folds and rolls it under for you, so you wouldn't even have to go through all of this trouble if you had that fancy dancy little thing. My machine did not come with it because it's an embroidery sewing machine, so it has more embroidery features, and I've just never really, while I hem often, I don't hem so much that I feel the need to get a new foot. Alright guys, got you sitting on the tripod, a little bit crooked probably, so these might not look all that straight, but they actually are. Gotta have, let's see, that's the natural hem that came with it. There's my fabric area. There's the, okay, yeah, so there's the top hem. I went all the way up to the top like I said so I can get the extra length. And then straight down. You can see where it's darker at the bottom part, and that's where we're below the windowsill ledge. And this is perfect because I have, see right here, Miss Whiskers likes to sit here and sticks her head out that window and watches cars go by. And Miss S'moresy likes to sit here and watch the cars go by. Miss Mocha likes to lay right down there and just sleep. So this gives them enough room to still poke their heads through. It darkened it up a little bit in here. Now, the bottom is darker because I have a screen on the window. And then this is the top. If I notice that it still gets warm in here because we get the morning sun because this is facing the east, if it's still warm in here in the mornings, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll make a second curtain to go over the top of this. So this curtain can be blocking the light and the heat on the between the window the curtain in the window, you know. And then on the inside, I'll put up a pretty curtain with a second curtain rod to make it all look nice and, you know, crafty and stuff like that. So that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the rest of these. Like I said, I have 8 windows to do. I probably won't get them all done today since it's already past lunchtime. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know down below. And if I need to clarify anything, I'll either go ahead and tell you about it, or I'll film another little extra segment and add it into as a part 2 for you. Alrighty? You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.